Well, winter sports start up in less than a week, but fall sports are still in full swing, which means this episode is going to be fun. Hi, everybody. Welcome on into episode 6 of the Eye on the Eagles podcast. I'm your host this week, Tim Hackett, joined by head women's soccer coach Katie LaForge. Coach LaForge, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We'll introduce you to our two basketball head coaches later on in this episode as we get you set for the start of basketball season. But your team, Katie, has looked really good over the whole balance of the season. I think defensively especially, you guys have defended well pretty much all season. Let's start with the most recent game. Back at home at the Z, you defeat Ottawa 2-1. You're now 2-0 at home this season. What are your main takeaways from your game against the Braves?
Well, first of all, that we probably have never been 2-0 at home. For some reason, our home record hasn't always been great, so it's really nice to see that from the players. And but about that game specifically, I think it just shows that we're having some good progress. Ottawa is typically a team that we compete with pretty closely, and it was a relatively close game this weekend. But I think it just shows that we're on the right trajectory over the past couple seasons, and I think that also shows the team that we have the ability to dominate over teams and end up with a winning scoreline. So we had a lot more possession of the ball, which was nice, and we were a lot more patient. So that I think helped us really figure out some things, and I think also just create some confidence while we're when we're on the ball. So
I just mentioned it a minute ago, but to a layperson like me, I've been super impressed with your team's defense all season long. It starts from the goal from Madison Baker, who's been a stalwart for you guys for the last couple of seasons, but everybody else in front of her as well, even with a lot of moving parts over the course of the season, now through a handful of games, 6 games total. I've just been really impressed. Am I making that up, or do you feel the same?
No, I feel the same. Like you said, there's quite a few moving parts. We've had some, adjustments to make here and there, just based on a number of things, including injuries and things of that nature. But I think we're finally getting into a groove, and defense is one of those things that takes a little bit of time, as well as offense. But really getting to know each other and communicating on a different level, just not just talking to each other, but really understanding, all right, this specific player likes the ball on this foot versus another player, this one's quicker, this one's a little bit more, she likes to have the ball at her feet a little bit more, this one likes you to play into the space. So, but also just being better as a group defensively has been really important to our success recently. And even showing in the moments like, when we don't win, I think we still did a good job, against like an Oklahoma Wesleyan. So when the pressure is high, can we still function and do the same things that we do in a game where we are dominating like this past weekend?
Yeah, let's talk about Oklahoma Wesleyan a little bit, because it's a loss for you guys at the end of the day, but it's a really good offensive team. You knew that going in. Everybody knows that going in. They've lived up to that expectation so far this season.
Yes.
You guys still held them in check for a lot of the game and kept it pretty close.
We did, yeah. And overall, I was very impressed with our mentality. The biggest thing for us was that we just had to believe that no matter, soccer can be very cruel, but also really great, and that just because you're the most talented team doesn't always mean that you win. So from the beginning, the girls believed that they could win and they could really impress themselves on to the other team. And I think we had our moments when we did that. But overall, they believed in the game plan. They executed the game plan and did everything that we asked of them. So again, the scoring line wasn't what we wanted, but I believe that, so far out of these last 5-6 games, we are the only team to hold them to that few of goals in our conference, and holding one of their MVPs to just 2 goals. So again, small victories, but I think in the larger scheme, it's very much a process that will take some time. But I think that was a really good step in that game for us.
Speaking of small victories, how about the Madison Baker game? In the second half alone, you made 2 penalty saves.
Yes.
Saves on penalty kicks, I should say. I have never seen that before. 2 in one game, let alone 1.5.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that either. I was talking to my coaching staff after, and it was pretty incredible. You know, we as coaches try to do our best to prepare them, but at the end of the day, like we say, you know, they're the ones on the field. They've got to execute it, and yeah, Madison Baker she came out big twice.
Yeah.
So I think one, that's excellent for her. Not that anybody expects that of her, but I know she's capable, so it's pretty exciting to see. But also in those moments, I explained to her later and told her that those are electrifying moments that can like help keep your team mentally in it because they see someone doing something extraordinary, and that wasn't extraordinary. 2 saves.
No kidding. Against 2 of the best offensive players in the conference as well.
Absolutely.
And let's go back to the other side of things, because defensively around Madison Baker against Ottawa, I mean, congratulations are in order to you guys for the first time this season. KCAC Player of the Week for center back Shelby Brown.
Yep.
Played the whole way for you guys against Ottawa over the weekend and helped lead a really, really strong defensive effort.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I mentioned before, it's just been a really just getting used to each other and working in those pairs. And I think her and Montana have done a good job to really kind of get on the same page. And you know, Shelby's a senior, so she has, you know, obviously been around the longest. You know, playing these teams, she has that experience in her pocket. So she played very much like a senior and a really important leader for us. So she's wearing the captain's band well, and it's nice to see that from her. And hopefully we can just continue to keep that upward trend in her performance, because again, it's a huge goalkeeper is a great position where you can really help propel and get people moving forward. But center back I do feel is the same way. You can have a really big impact on the game. Sometimes negatively, but this time very, very positive. So you know, great from my center back duo.
Speaking of all the moving pieces, all the new pieces of on the team this year, I was looking through a photo gallery from a match last year, and just so many of the people that I saw are just not part of the team anymore.
Right.
Because we had a lot of graduations, like you and I talked about preseason. So that's bound to happen, but I think just the fact that you guys have had so much success through this point of the season, have defended so well with a lot of different faces out there, is a testament to what you guys have done as a coaching staff in the offseason, but also what the players have done, stepping up into new roles that they haven't done before, bigger roles than they've had before, for example, starting pretty much every game where you barely started before in the past, for example. Yep. So it's just, that to me is what stood out so far. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think, one, it's a testament to the ones who've graduated. They created that void. So they performed at a high level and made it very clear that there was, you know, room for the young ones to grow. And all the current players have taken that in stride. Every single one of them. I've asked lots of different things from lots of different players, put them in different positions and kind of see how they fit into everything. And yeah, it's just been really nice to see the girls really come together and show their best qualities. Again, they've had opportunities to do so, and I like to do that no matter what age. You know, I had a couple freshmen start this past weekend and another newcomer start this weekend. So it's been good to see them step up and really just live in the moment, take the moment, you know, as it presents itself.
Speaking of newcomers, someone we haven't talked about yet on this episode of the show is Megan Nugent. And we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about her. She had 2 more assists coming against Ottawa, assisted both of the goals, has 4 goals on the season after scoring the only goal against the Oklahoma Wesleyan Eagles last weekend. She's been a revelation offensively for you guys this year, and she's somebody that you've told me before that you've known for a little while. You, to use your words, have had your eye on her for a little while, but what was the process like to actually bring her into the fold this year? And now that you have, you felt that that's been rewarded? Your effort's been rewarded?
I would say yes. Yes, they have. So it all kind of started. I was in a club coaching multiple teams and in training sessions, and that's when I first met Megan. And her, she's got 2 really good friends that already had come to Avila. And they went to high school together as well. So when I would go to the high school games, I'd see Megan. So it's been, I would say, a long time coming. But she did end up deciding her freshman year to go to Johnson County Community College. So again, a close neighbor, so I kind of make it a point to have, Johnson County and then Blue River and KCK as part of our preseason. Obviously, this year's preseason was very, well, non-existent rather.
Yeah.
But, just to keep my eye on players like that have decided to go to the junior college route, and they bring a lot of value with them. But I think, the way that Megan has stepped up has been just really, I was hoping that this would happen, that the relationship that I had kind of built over the last probably 3 years, maybe even 4 years, was hopefully going to only set her up for success. And I am still learning. Our coach-player relationship is still relatively young and new. But I have been really pleased with the way that she has, again, taken the opportunity in front of her, which is playing time, and ultimately a starting position, and also just taking over the goal scoring, I would say responsibility, because it can be a bit heavy, but now it's more spread out. Obviously she's assisting others, which is even, that's just providing it, but also being able to finish. That's something that really sets you apart as far as being a forward and being in that offensive category. So she's really just beyond my expectations, and I had pretty high ones of her to come in. So she's done really well, and hopefully it just the train keeps on rolling for her.
I could tell that you had such high expectations, a lot of trust in her. She's a penalty kick taker, you're a corner kick taker from the get-go. So, to me, just inserting a new player to you at least, into the lineup in that way from the first game. She scored a penalty kick on her first game as an Eagle. So that to me just showed the trust that you have in her already, even though she hadn't really actually played a game for you so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And another reason I think it's been better for her to easily come into the fold is that she has relationships with players previously. So she played with Cortland Ash at Johnson County before this, so she was teammates with her then. Miriam Solorio as well, and then obviously was in high school with Eden Fridlington and Hannah Hill. Also in high school with Corinne Killingsworth and Hannah Coates.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just kind of this moving body of relationships and teammates, and I think that chemistry really shows.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's resulted in 4 goals and 4 assists
Yep.
for Megan Nugent. Both of those, I should say, goals, assists, and points, all top 5 in the conference through 6 games. Cortland Ash just behind her with 3 goals, and Hannah Coates now with 2 goals.
Yes.
She didn't score last year. Now she's got 2 goals in the last 3 games. It's an impressive run for her.
Yeah.
Coming up next, back at home at the Z's, second straight game. You got Friends coming to town. One of the best teams in the KCAC last year, predicted to be such again this year. Off to a solid start, even though it's been a little bit of a weird schedule for them so far. What can you tell us about the Falcons?
Well, I know in the past couple of years, they have been on an upward trend for them, and I really respect their coach and his playing style and what he exemplifies off the field, and then it comes to life on the field. I think he's just got a good group of women doing their thing. He's changed it up quite a few times as far as formation, but so that makes them slightly unpredictable, I guess you could say. I would say that they probably are on par with where they were last year, even given the circumstances of a shorter preseason and all the things that everyone's experiencing in this conference. But they've gotten some good results against some teams, and but fairly similar when we have played the same opponent. Our results have been about the same. So I think it'll be a very even game. It'll really just be based on the day who kind of brings it a little bit more. From a coaching standpoint, I would say that he's. I like the idea of really tactically being challenged in that way as a coach. So I think that part will be really fun for me specifically. But yeah, they're a hardworking team, and all the things that I kind of preach to my girls, they do the same. So it will be, again, a very even game. So we're just going to have to see kind of brings it on the day.
Interesting start to the year for them. They've had 2 draws. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
both of those were 1-1 results, as I recall. In none of their 5 games so far has either team scored more than 2 goals. It's
Yes.
been a total of 3 goals or fewer every
Yes.
time. So they appear, at least from a scoreline perspective, to be compact, not allow a whole lot by them.
Right.
1 or 2 shutouts on the season, things like that. So they seem like at least that they're well disciplined, well organized. Like you were saying.
Yes. So it will take the same amount of discipline and organization for us to break them down to score goals. So as long as we can kind of keep that kind of in check during the game, I firmly believe we'll be on the positive side of things. And I don't think, obviously the ties are what they are, and they've gone into overtime at least once, I saw. So yeah, they're willing to kind of fight it out. So it'll be a good one. You guys should come.
Yeah, and if you want to come, you can come watch Coach Katie and the women's soccer team this weekend at the Z. Saturday kickoff slated for about 1 p.m. following the conclusion of the men's game. We'll see you there. Coach, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Hey, Eagle Nation, welcome back to episode 6 of the Eye on the Eagles podcast, sponsored by Jan Fahey Construction Company. I'm your host, Tim Hackett, joined now by head volleyball coach Eric Majors. Coach, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Since we saw you on the show last, it has been a great run for you guys. I think it's fair to say 3 straight wins all over conference teams, including 2 over teams that were predicted to finish in the top 3 of the KCAC. It has been a really good run of form for you guys recently.
Yeah, obviously we're really happy. I'd like to say we're right on schedule. You never know when your team's going to really start putting all the pieces together and kind of rolling. So I think we finally hit that point, and it's an exciting time.
And in all 3 of those matches, it seems like what's great about your team and what I've talked to you about this year is your offense is so versatile, so diverse. There are a lot of different pieces that get in the mix. You have some mainstays, obviously, but I mean, just top of my head, those last 3 games, all wins for you guys, there's been somebody who has stood out to me offensively. I wonder if you feel the same, but the first game against Sterling 10 days ago now or so, comeback win, you drop the first 2 sets, win the next 3 to come out and get your first KCAC win of the season. And I mean, let's start there before we talk about the individual pieces, because that was just a lot of fun to be at. And maybe it wasn't as fun to coach, but it was a killer match. You guys got the win.
Yeah, that was maybe one of the more important matches since I've been here. We knew that we had the talent and the system to do what we needed to do, but it always comes down to performance. We got down 0-2, but by no means did we think that we were going to not win that game. So that's a big step for us. We came out, we just kept doing what we do and just focused on one point at a time, and came out great. And the last game was really intense and it was really fun. So it was a great match.
Yeah, none of the sets were ever that far apart. Every set was close. I think Sterling had a lead in the second set at one point, but you guys ended up making it close, like 5 points, I think, in the end. So it was nothing was ever out of reach for either side, I guess, and that was what made it fun. But I mean, in that game, I thought Caitlin Pion, for example, had her best game of the season so far.
Yes.
Her highest total of kills, if nothing else, but hitting from all over the place, different kinds of looks, good, reliable option.
We had an injury, and she had to switch positions back to what she played last year. And she went in there and she led us in kills in her old position. And so yeah, that was a huge step up for her, and I think she was, her comfort in the game. She had to switch positions when she first came to Avila, and her comfort playing on the edges of the court, or they call them pins, is so much higher now than it was last year that she was ready to do that. So it was a great performance by her.
Fast forward a week and you guys finally get to experience your first KCAC try, because your first 3 have been postponed, reworked due to various issues, some internal, some external, and so finally you get your first real doubleheader of this season. Now, obviously, you guys have done doubleheaders before, plenty of them already this year, some try matches already this year, but first of all, what was that like actually getting out there to Lindsborg and having a KCAC try?
KCAC is incredibly competitive. I mean, I think it's one of the most balanced conferences I've ever coached in. And so every team you play is going to bring it on you. And the whole day was intense. You got 30 minutes after the first game to play the next team, and they're both great teams. So, but I think the Sterling game gave us a confidence that I think that really came in with us into this game, and we just really didn't have any doubt that we were going to be able to get the result we wanted. So it was, overall, I was actually less fatigued in this match than I've been in a lot of single game matches, just because our confidence as a team is so much higher, and it just takes a lot of pressure off everybody. So.
And the way those tries are configured, and if you haven't seen one yet, that's because we haven't hosted one yet. We will, in theory, host one later, coming up in about 3 or so weeks. But the way they're configured is obviously there are 3 straight matches that are played on one floor. So somebody's got to go back to back, and somebody will have a game off. As a coach, would you prefer to play those bookend games, or would you prefer to just get them both out of the way?
You don't want them back to back, especially if you're going if you play 5 games, and then you have to play 5 games again, which could happen. I've talked to other coaches in the conference, and they said it's very challenging if the first match is really intense, that the second one it's going to test you. But that's not necessarily all negative. Especially if you win, it's going to give you some confidence, like, okay, we can do this. We can play back to back and be fatigued and still come out with the W. So for us, it worked out okay, and it was a tough match because both teams are strong teams. So so it's an interesting situation.
Yeah, on paper, a tough pair of matchups for you guys. Is like we said at the top, 2 teams that were good last year and predicted to be in the top 3 of the conference. Coming into this season, Bethany is off to a solid start so far this season. We'll talk about St. Mary in a second, but Bethany's got a great outside hitter, and she was able to do her thing a little bit, but everyone else, you guys limited effectively.
Yeah, they set her 73 times in that match.
In 4 sets.
In 4 sets. So obviously she's an incredible player, and she had some success on us pretty early, but we started to slow her down a little bit. But the thing I was most excited about that match was we won the first one, I think, relatively handily. The second one, we were down 1-10, and we were able to come back and take the lead, I think at 21 or 22, and I think we had a game point in that. I think it went to extra points, I believe.
Yeah.
But to me, that was really big because we just decided that we weren't going to lose, and we just kept coming. So that might have been the most exciting game of the year, honestly, for us. We didn't end up winning that game, but we were in it and we had a chance. So I was really happy with that match.
You turn around and win the next 2 sets on top of that, kind of capitalizing on some of that comeback momentum.
Yeah, so we've got a balanced offense. I don't think we have anybody in the top 10 in kills per set in the whole league. And that's really unusual.
Yeah.
And so you could say, well, they just don't have any spectacular hitters, but I think that we do. It's just that our offense is coming at you from every angle that it makes it very challenging for you to decide how you're going to stop us if somebody else steps up. So.
And I think that match really proves that point, because we talked about Caitlin Pion having a great game against Sterling, but this game against Bethany, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, I don't have the stat lines in front of me, but all 3 of Maria Valeroy, Kate Warren, and Sadie Rand had very good weekends.
Sadie and Kate, I believe, they had their highest hitting percentages and their highest kills of the season.
Yeah.
And I have to look back. I think Maria might have been her high for the season too as well. So
First or second, yeah.
Yeah. So what happens is if teams start focusing on our middles, then if our other players step up, they're in big trouble because they're leaving them wide open. So it all kind of works with each other.
And then the middles have been a focal point for you all season, and they've been super reliable, super effective across the whole season, and that culminated in the second game of that doubleheader with Hannah Littell delivering an absolutely incredible performance.
Yeah, Hannah was motivated for that game, and she was unstoppable almost, and really frustrated the other team, which is a great team, well-coached team. And so it's, sometimes I'm playing and I'm like, man, I'm so glad those middles play for us because I would not want to go against them sometimes. And And yeah, she was spectacular, so it was good.
I do have that stat line in front of me. 16
Yeah.
kills, 1 error, 600 hit percentage,
Yeah.
and 2 solo blocks
Yeah.
just against St. Mary in 4 sets for
Yeah,
Hannah
that
Littell.
was really good.
And that helps contribute to her winning the KCAC Attacker of the Week award this week, the first one for you guys this season. And as far as I can tell, the first one since Avila has been part of the KCAC, which started in
Really?
2018. As far as I can tell. There have been some, obviously, D. Williams was postseason all-conference last year, preseason all-conference this year, so she got some respect there, but I'm not sure how many times that's happened in a weekly.
That's great.
First one this season, I can guarantee you that. Still checking the record books, waiting for some people to get back to me on that one. But what was it like? Because you guys were the first team to play St. Mary this year. Everybody has dealt with, the fun and games that 2020 has presented us. So what was it like getting to prepare for them? Because they didn't have a single match
Right.
going.
So, what I've learned is that there's the Heart, I believe, for the most part, they're wearing masks when they play. I've learned recently, maybe not all the time, but there's actually a certain kind of mask you have to wear that won't come off your face.
That sounds
And
handy.
so what I found is that these other teams that are dealing with this, they've already figured out this style of mask, and that's the one that they're wearing. And so we kind of had a mission. This is the first time we've had to wear a mask during a game. And so everybody had a different kind of mask, and there's an art to it, and if we have to do it again, we'll be ready to do that. But overall, I don't think it affected us that much because it's not good to have excuses as a team when you go to compete, and so we've really tried to get our players not to give excuses for certain things, and we went out there, and yeah, they didn't like it at first, but they did it, and I thought we played fine, and it wasn't like anybody was, like, Coach, I gotta have a timeout, that didn't happen, so it wasn't a big a deal as I probably anticipated.
So that is kind of their little wrinkle this year, is that they are requiring.
So whenever you play St. Mary, you're gonna have to wear a mask, the
Okay.
whole team, so. I wear mine every day, so
Yeah.
I don't care.
Did I see other teams doing that during during some of your, by preseason
So
I mean
we
non-conference?
we played a Heart of America team, William Penn, and they
Yeah,
wore masks
okay.
during that. But that was the only team at that tournament that wore a mask the entire time. But I think they had been practicing in them, so it was not a big deal.
Okay. Well, 3 more games coming up this week, 2 at home. We're filming this on Tuesday, so by the time you're seeing this, one of the games will already have happened. But want to get your thoughts either way on Hannibal LaGrange, which is a team that you guys swept twice last year.
Hannibal, they had a new coach last year. She's doing great. She's brought in a lot of new players this year, so I think they're pretty young. But I'm assuming that they're pretty athletic, and so you never can look past the team ever because they will come and bite you in the butt. So hopefully we keep that momentum that we've had going. I gave them a day off on Monday, so we didn't practice before this game, so I'm a little anxious about it. But hopefully we can keep that momentum going and see how we do.
They seem to have a 6 rotation outside as one player, Perez, who is tied for their team lead in kills, and also their team leader in digs. She's top 5 in the conference in both kills and digs. That's kind of amazing to
Yeah,
me.
she's every once in a while you're one of these players that can do it all.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can kind of keep her under control. You can't ever stop those players; they're going to get their points. But hopefully she doesn't hurt us too much.
And then speaking of keeping people under control, the next day, coming up on Wednesday on the road, back in the KCAC, Hannibal LaGrange is your last planned non-conference game of the fall. And then back on the road in the KCAC against Ottawa, preseason #1 team of the conference, always a tough task.
Yeah, so Ottawa, class of the conference is for a long time. Great coach, great athletes, great volleyball players, so used to winning a lot. So I've been in the gym once already this year because we had a varsity reserve game there, so that was, kind of cool because a couple of my players that are on varsity were there and they had that experience of winning in that gym. But there's no doubt this team's undefeated in conference. It's going to be a difficult match. So I'm looking forward to it. It could go either way. We could play really great, and it could go either way.
Sure.
So these are the kind of matches you want to play in volleyball. So I'm excited about it.
And this is the opportunities that you want to get as a coach, right? You were saying that you told me the other day that this is just an awesome opportunity for you. It won't be the only time you see Ottawa this year if everything goes well, but you've beaten #2 and #3 preseason in
that
Bethany
would
and
be
St.
pretty
Mary.
cool to beat all 3. But nothing's easy in volleyball, and And also you can't get overconfident because you'll take it easy and somebody will they'll come and slap you. So that's why you play sports, and that's why you want to play good teams, especially when you're playing well too. So, I'm curious to see what happens. So I'm excited.
Yeah, and then after that game, we'll be back at home for one more conference game coming up this Saturday. It'll be the third game of a triple header across the EagleEmpire here on campus on Saturday at 5 p.m. against Bethel. Kind of the opposite end of the spectrum on paper against Audible. Well, what can you tell us about the Threshers?
Last year, Bethel had a tremendous middle that was just having her way with us for a while, and we were in a do or die game to make it into the conference tournament to playing them. Like I said, everybody in the KCAC, if you don't, they have a chance to beat you, and that's what it's a great conference. So, I've coached this game too long to really look past any team. I mean, you have to respect every single team. So we're going to prepare for them just like we prepare for everybody else, and give them the same amount of respect as everyone. So hopefully it works our way, but yeah, looking forward to it.
As we talk right now, they don't have any wins on the campaign yet, but even if that is still true by Saturday, then you know that's going to be...
Hey, I've been that one team that gave the other team a win before, so, anything can happen.
Yeah.
So you just have to respect everybody.
Welcome back to episode 6 of Eye on the Eagles. Tim Hackett here with head men's basketball coach Bill Sloan. We are less than a week away from the start of Avila basketball season. Coach Sloan, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thanks. I appreciate you having me.
No, thank you. Well, hey, since it's your first time on the show, I'm going to surprise you a little bit, throw a little bit of a wrinkle into the plan. We've got some rapid fire questions here to ask you, if that's cool.
All right.
All right, ready? Rapid fire. So give me your answers as quick as possible. All right, here we go. Favorite color?
Oh, man. Purple.
Favorite food?
Italian.
Good answer, by the way. Purple is a great answer.
It is. Wasn't a Homer answer.
Whatever you say. Favorite restaurant?
Anthony's.
Okay. Beaches or mountains?
Oh, man, that's tough. Mountains, probably.
Okay. Favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Okay. Who is the best dressed coach on your staff?
Wow, I don't know if we have any. Darian Minor.
He would.
We'll go with that.
In absentia, he will love that answer. What's your favorite candy bar?
Wow, I don't. It's Snickers when I ate candy.
Fair enough. What's your favorite movie?
Godfather.
That is a good answer. All right. Would be my answer too, incidentally. Your favorite band or musical performer?
Man, I got many of those. I don't know. Maybe the Eagles.
Okay. Favorite TV show?
Wow. Man, I don't know. Sopranos.
I was going to say, I figured you were going that route. I love it. And what's the last TV show you binge watched?
Dexter.
Okay, good answer. Hey, if you like the Eagles, you'll like some of our pregame music, I'm sure.
Go.
Gotta keep it to the theme. Good job, by the way. Very quick. I think our athletic director, Sean Sumi, will be pleased with the speed of those answers.
Good.
All right, back to the normal programming. So this off-season, Coach Sloan has been, well, really this whole calendar year, I'm sure, has been different from anything that certainly I've ever experienced, and I'm sure you can say the same. So, I mean, what's 2020 been like for you and for your team so far?
I think it's probably been like, for everyone else. It's just, it's been an unprecedented year. The things that are occurring and have happened, have never happened before, at least since 1918.
Sure.
Our kids played in the Dream League this summer, the Pro-Am League, and played really well there, and they won that league. And Dante Simpson was the most valuable player in the league. So that core group, worked together all summer. Now it's, we had a guy that wasn't, we practiced one day, and then we had a guy that wasn't cleared yet by the trainers and hadn't done anything with us yet, but the night before we tested, he came and played pickup with our guys the night before we started practice, and he tested positive, so the whole team was quarantined for 2 weeks. So we were shut down for 2 weeks, and when you miss that much time, you miss the conditioning and all that goes with it. So, we were 2 weeks behind then, basically. So we had to take 2 weeks of prep time to get back in shape to where we were. So we probably won't be where we should be until mid-November because of all of that. So
All that time that was lost.
but it's, everybody's going to have to go through it. I'm fully prepared, unfortunately, that we will have interruptions in our season, whether it's us or some other team, and it's just going to be the way it is. And I hope it's over soon, but that's out of our hands
For sure. Yeah, if we could do something about it, I would have done something by now, I can tell you that much.
Exactly.
So was it really then, since you were forced to lose so much time late on in preseason, was it then even more valuable that their guys got so much experience playing together, valuable playing time during the summer?
Yeah, that was big for us. The core group of guys, we returned 10 guys from last year. We lost one senior last year. That group has played together for a couple, 2 to 3 years here now, and that's kind of where a couple years ago we had a bunch of transfer guys. We were really talented, but had a lot of off-court, in locker room issues, and it was we decided to go a different direction and build with freshmen and kind of bit the bullet 2 years ago, and we knew we weren't going to be very good. And last year we thought we had a chance, and we were better, but injuries, and we had a bunch of guys sick in January and February. I'm not saying they had the virus, but all the symptoms were there.
It's possible, yeah.
So, and they were really sick and missed, 5 of them missed 2 to 3 games because of that. So, last year we thought was the year we were good, but this is kind of the year we were looking to take that next step in the win column. But our schedule sometimes makes that difficult because we play as tough, or maybe the toughest schedule in the country most every year. So, but we think that we're going to be pretty good.
Let's talk about that schedule then a little bit then. Is that kind of your plan then? Because you play a lot of teams that I'm not going to pretend that I know everything about, but they are bigger schools, right? During your non-conference, pre-conference season, right? That's the goal. That's the idea.
Right. We normally play more of them, but because of the pandemic, Division II schools were cut down to 22 games, and we are doing some interesting things this year with the schedule that we haven't in the past. We're playing some D1s this year, more than we normally do. So, and that's due to the pandemic. If it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be playing them. But yeah, our schedule is always tough.
And that's by design then
That's by design and kind of by necessity. Those teams get guarantees, and that helps our bottom line.
Sure.
So that our kids don't have to do a lot of off-campus fundraising type things. We do it with games. I'd rather them be playing than have to, go work at a stadium or something like that. So that's just the way we do it. I know it's the record, the bottom line record is probably, it's going to be tough for us to be successful in some of those games, but I think the price, the cost of that is well worth the kids not having to do those kind of things.
it's an opportunity for them to get out, for the guys to get out there and see what it's like to play against these big, you talk about D1 schools, not everybody gets that opportunity, right?
Yeah, they like that a lot, usually until it starts.
Right.
And then they find out they don't like it so much. But no, that's not always the case. I mean, we played at Division I 2 years ago, and we went on a 10-0 run, and we're up 2 with they had to call a timeout before the under 4 timeout.
Okay.
So, and then we played at Oral Roberts 3 years ago, and it was a 6-point game with 5 minutes left. So there's times we play with those people.
We were just talking with head volleyball coach Eric Majors earlier in the show, and he said, you can't ever look down on anybody. They could come in winless, they could come in as an NAIA against a Division I school. It doesn't matter. You can't shove those games to the side and completely put those opponents away and think you're just going to walk all over them, because that's when a team like that could surprise you, right?
That's exactly right. And unfortunately, we don't play any of those people we can look down on.
Right.
We're always looking up.
Well,
that's just, and I don't think it does you any good. There's some coaches that'll play, 8 schools that they know they can beat, and the score will be 140 to 60. And I don't know that I guess it gives you confidence, in the win column, but I don't know that it does you any good when it comes to tough games that come down to the end.
Well, let's talk about the guys that are going to be involved in those games, big time or otherwise. There's a big core group of guys returning, like you said, the folks that got to play together this summer. Group of 10 returners and a handful of newcomers as well to add to the mix. So what can you tell us about the guys that you got coming back?
Yeah, those guys. First, the guy we lost is you don't get those guys here very often. There's been 2 of those guys in my time here, which is incredible. I don't want to say they're like, they usually throw the term around generational talent, but for us at our level where we're at as a school, they kind of are. And losing an 1,800 point scorer, a guy that never came off the floor, played 40 minutes a game, and we rode him every night. And he was a great player, but he was a better student and a better person. And that, he's an academic All-American. He was a basketball. He's a first-team All-Conference All-American in basketball, and you don't get those kind of kids very often.
Yeah, it's
never complained, never said a word. Got beat up every game, and just produced night in and night out. That's Shannon.
Yeah, Shannon Boone, the reigning 2019 Avila Male Athlete of the Year, as well as Scholar Male Athlete of the Year. Kind of speaking to your point, the true embodiment of the student athlete. And there's not everybody who's going to win both of those, right? He was.
No, that's rare. That is rare, to be that kind of have that type of intelligence and that type of ability at the same time. And it's a testament to his family and how he was raised, and his parents, and they're great people. And he had a plan when he stepped on campus, and he's executed that plan, and he's on into the next phases. He's going to be a dentist, so he's still here in town going to dental school. He got accepted to 6 dental schools, which is not easy to do.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So we will miss him. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
But the kids coming back all had their roles, on last year's team, and they've all improved from last year, and they're ready to take the step forward. I mean, they proved that this summer, and Dante played great this summer. We are missing one other piece. Eric Smith tore his ACL in the summer league, and he's a double machine, and he would have been in 18 to 20, 12 rebound a game guy, and 2 or 3 blocks, and he'd take it off the rim and lead fast break. I mean, he's just he's the guy we're going to miss too. There's just no question about it. But we have played small before, and these guys have played small before, so they know how to do it. And we work on that every day. And they're going to be okay. They're going to be all right.
So that's the plan then, right? Play a little bit smaller with fewer bigs, more perimeter shooting, maybe.
Yeah, we're gonna play pretty fast. and we get after you. Last year, there was for most of the conference season, we led the conference in defensive field goal percentage, and we're top 10 in the country a couple times during the year. And this group really understands how to guard and where to be and how to help each other, and understands how we want to guard, and they do a really good job on that end of the floor.
And so that's kind of what you think the mentality, the mindset of the team is going to be, kind of defense first, play from the outside in, if you will, kind of own the perimeter.
Yeah, defense. We have several kids that really go to the offensive glass as well, so we steal possessions with that, and then hopefully, with the pressure that we apply, that we'll turn some teams over and create some offense out of that as well. In theory, that's the plan. We'll see how it goes. I mean, we've had years where we've had to change our complete style during the season because of injuries or other things, and it's just part of it. But that's kind of the plan going in.
How are you feeling? Because you are less than a week from the start of the season. What's the mood like, the atmosphere like between you and the guys?
They're good. They're ready to play, and they're ready to see somebody else. They're tired of playing against each other. So, you never know what's going to happen. You can prepare your team every year. You can do it the same way every year, and get to that first game, and you get something you didn't think you were going to see. Or you see exactly what you thought you were going to see. You never know until they throw it up, and it's for real. You don't know.
That first game's coming up this coming Monday.
It is
against Baptist Bible College, right?
It is.
What can you tell us about that?
I don't know much about them at all.
Fair enough.
This is another game that came out of the pandemic. This is a game that we wouldn't normally play, but to fill the schedule. This is, we're going to play them home and home, which is something we've never done before. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, that's coming up on Monday, the 26th, and then your first home game is Friday, November 6th, correct?
Yeah.
That'll be the Maybe Fieldhouse basketball opener.
It will. Bethel, they're good.
Yeah.
They're ranked up at the top of our league and have the defensive player in the league returning, and he led the nation in rebounding last year. And he's a load to deal with, but it'll be. We played them both games with them last year. Went right down to the end. So a lot of our games last year went right down to the end. But we'll just see. They're going to be tough. I mean, there's no question about it.
We're excited to see you and the guys out on the floor starting on Monday, and then Friday, November 6th against Bethel, the home opener. You have the ability to get your tickets online. We hope to see you here at Maybe Fieldhouse as long as you remember to be safe and be there.
Yeah, I hope that people, if we have the ability to come to the games, I hope people come out and watch these kids play, because they will play as hard as they can for 40 minutes, and every time they step on the floor. So they're fun to watch, and they play hard, and they get after it, and they're all good kids. All of them. We don't have a bad kid in the locker room, and I hope people come out and watch them play.
I do too. I'm excited to see you guys out there starting on Monday, and then Friday, November 6th, first home game. Coach Sloan, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Welcome back to episode 6 of the Eye on the Eagles podcast. I'm your host, Tim Hackett, joined now by head women's basketball coach Torie Murillo. Torie, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
It's our pleasure. Hey, all right, well, look, it's your first time on the show, so before we get to our regular scheduled programming, got some rapid-fire questions to ask you. You ready?
Okay.
All right, answer as quickly as you can.
Oh, gosh.
Ready?
All right.
Here we go. What is your favorite color?
Black.
Favorite food?
Fries.
Okay. Favorite restaurant?
Ooh, that's a hard one. Depends on where I go. McDonald's.
All right, hence the fries. Fair enough. When you go on a vacation, do you prefer beaches or mountains?
Beaches.
Okay. What's your favorite holiday?
Ooh, Christmas.
It's a small staff, but who is the best dressed coach on your staff?
Oh wow, best dressed coach. Let's go with Melissa.
Okay. What's your favorite candy bar?
Paydays.
Favorite movie?
Oh wow, I'm a terrible movie person, but I guess my favorite movie would have to be. We'll go easy. Love and Basketball is easy. Love and Basketball.
Okay, perfect. Favorite band or musical performer?
Ooh, favorite band or musical performer. Oh my god, I'm thinking about this too because I love all of them.
That's fine. Like, who's at the top of your playlist?
Top of my playlist right now, J. Cole.
Okay, you got an answer. North Carolina represent. What is
Yep.
your? This is a hard question too. What's your favorite TV show?
Oh, TV show. Like at my house, ESPN's always playing, so we'll just go with ESPN.
That makes sense.
It's always playing.
And then what's the last TV show that you binge watched?
The last TV show that I binge watched is kind of embarrassing, but The Home Edit. I'm really into organization in my room.
Okay.
Everything is like color coordinated, but so The Home Edit.
So is that a feng shui show or what's the deal?
It's like basically a really boring like, girl show, but it's basically just about organizing and color coordinating and things like that, trying to keep your house in order.
That keeping everything
Super
in
boring.
keeping everything in order seems like
Yeah.
a worthwhile endeavor.
I watched it all in like 2 days, so.
Okay,
It's crazy.
well, that counts. All right, good job with the answers.
Yeah.
That was pretty quick. I think Sean Sumlin will be pleased because
Okay, good.
he expected our former point guard to be a bit of a sharpshooter, but hey,
Yeah.
it's fine. We got through it. No problem.
Yeah, a little slow on that.
It's fine. All right, back to the regularly scheduled programming because 2020, obviously, as we've talked about, has been just a crazy year, I'm sure, for just about everybody, for you watching and listening. So the most basic of basic questions, what has this calendar year been like for you and for your team?
Wow. So this calendar year's been a little different. So I think that we started, group work in August, but it was really minimal. We really did a lot of individuals because we were really just unsure of what it was going to be like, even in the gym or just even in a gym, in the facility as a whole. So we were just a little bit apprehensive, I think, at first, but then once we started getting through to it, we, started our regular, conditioning, and we decided to kind of break down the day. In the past I've done, 3 days where we're doing something in the morning, in the midday, afternoon, and then weights. But this time we tried to keep it all consolidated into one time. So we really were trying to hit 3 different things in one practice time, and then we, also did weights every now and then. But it's just been a little different, just because we're trying to kind of consolidate the time that we, also spend together, but also that they're interacting with other people and being in different, locations. So it's definitely been a hurdle to get over, but I think we are now in a functioning routine, and I think it's been pretty good for us. So.
We'll get to this a little bit later, but it's a new looking team, a lot of new people involved. So when was the first time that you guys actually all got to be together? When did everybody get to meet each other?
Honestly, the first week of school. Typically we would do, in the summertime we would get together just as a team and just kind of meet and greet each other and get to know each other over maybe a weekend where they're just hanging out. We usually do that every summer, but this summer we didn't really get to. And then, without any postseason last year, it was just really different. And so the first time that they got to really get together was in August. So
Interesting. Well, by now everybody knows, if they're fans of yours and fans of the team, they know that last year was a banner year for Avila women's basketball, one of the most successful seasons that the program has ever had, especially since the time that you've been a coach here. You've been part of the program now for 12 or 13 straight years, right? Mm-hmm. Dating back to your playing days here. So last year, let's just hit on it just a little bit to drive the point home. Famously now, your season, maybe infamously for you, ended in the locker room at the NAIA tournament. You guys won the KCAC tournament to earn a trip to the postseason tournament for the first time in a while, and then never got to play.
Yeah, pretty heartbreaking. I think that, especially for our seniors, it was really heartbreaking. We were in a very interesting situation. As a coach, you prepare for everything. So, you're going over your schemes, you're going over, every single thing you could have missed, and you're talking about with your assistant coaches, and you're making sure, pre-game's perfect, pre-game food is perfect, travel, we're getting there on time. everything is perfect, and the one thing we didn't prepare for was that, you know, we weren't gonna play, and that was never a thought in our mind. So even, you know, when everything was going on in the crowd, you know, I talked to a lot of parents, and they were like, you know, some things were a little different, you know, the table workers were talking, and, you know, things were going on social media with, you know, the Big Ten closing down and different conferences closing down their tournaments. We never prepared for that, and so even in the locker room, even when I got called out, I never thought for a second that they would really tell us we were going to shut down. So it was really heartbreaking having to go back in after they did, and still hear my girls talking about, you know, let's guard number 11 and make sure that we're all talking and communicating defensively. And it was just like they were still talking scheme and still talking about our scouting report, and then I was about to walk in and completely change the entire atmosphere. And so definitely heartbreaking. Completely changed mentality for a lot of people, and definitely kind of took a hit on our program, but that's what we teach. We teach to overcome adversity, so it's something that we kind of had to work through.
Yeah, it's a really big, the way to learn on the fly, I guess, learn that hard lesson that you never expected, like
Right.
you said. I mean, obviously not something that you would ever wish for or hope for, but like you said, I mean, that's a great way, a great hands-on lesson, I guess, to be confronted with the reality of the situation, and then somehow you've got to overcome that, right?
Right, you know, we say that basketball is an avenue for you to learn life lessons and to become stronger mentally and kind of work through anything in life that, you know, if you've done on the floor, you can do it in life. And we really weren't prepared to face it right then and there.
Sure.
We thought that, you know, what we were going to accomplish on the floor would help us later on in life, but, you know, sometimes things happen for a reason, and you had to kind of be faced with it right on. And it obviously, you know, was something no one was really prepared to work through, but I think that, you know, our seniors, I hope they know that even though they didn't get to accomplish what they wanted to on a national level, that their impact, you know, on our program and on our team and on each other as a family doesn't go unnoticed, and that's, you know, their accolades, you know, nationally might not have been able to, you know, been reached, but their dedication and everything that they, you know, deposited in this program definitely made an impact.
Yeah, the impact and the success that you and they had last year absolutely doesn't go unnoticed, but for those seniors especially, it's something that you told me in the past was how much that core group meant to you. You just finished your 4th year as the head coach, so when you started, they started, so you guys were together that whole period of time. That kind of engenders a pretty special bond, right?
Definitely. I think that, you know, the thing that doesn't really get said is that they kind of, you know, as a coach, you help young women grow up, but they also help me kind of grow as a coach and grow up as a person as well. So it's definitely different not seeing that core group, you know, Taylor Faulkner, Brooke, Westrom, Danny Rehor, that core group that came in with me my first year. It's definitely completely different not seeing them every day or not seeing them pop into my office, but it means a lot that we got to where we did before those girls, and for, you know, the girls that came in after them, like Paige Bunn and Nemo and Cassidy. It meant a lot for all of us to get there for them. It made me really happy to see them accomplish something that they really set out and kind of look adversity in the face, even when we were 5th, you know, in the conference tournament, and they still said, you know, we're going to do this for each other, and we're going to do this because we had a goal set out. And so I was really proud of them for accomplishing that.
That was something, those goals matched up. That was something that you told me in July when you and I were talking for pretty much the first time, was that when you came on as the head coach after being an assistant, obviously after being a player here, when you came on, something that you had told your team was that your goal was to win championships, plural, but to get to plural, you have to get to one first.
Right.
And then those seniors eventually bought in, and once they did, you guys knew that that was going to be possible.
Definitely. I think that, you know, I set the expectation, but when they matched that as a freshman, it was really, it kind of gave me like a boost of confidence, like, okay, we're all on the same page. But the thing that a lot of people don't understand is it takes, you know, a mental shift to really get there and to really understand the dedication. And it was great to see them finally really accomplish that shift. And so, but yeah, their goals were always to kind of buy into if we're not here to win championships, then we're here to be average. And every single one of those girls are not average. They are more than, great. They're women that can accomplish anything that they put their minds to, and they kind of bought into that mindset. And so when their goals matched up with mine, it was really actually inspiring. So I was really thankful for that.
They absolutely accomplished a lot, and of course, their time here is done, as everyone's time comes to an end eventually, I suppose, and there's a whole new group of players to take their place. So you bring back your coaching staff and a couple of key returners and a whole new crop of players to kind of continue the success that you guys had last year. But let's start with the people that are coming back, because there are a couple of familiar faces that we're going to see out there this year.
Yeah, definitely. So the one familiar face that everyone's going to know is Maddie Morgan.
Friend of the program.
Yeah, Maddie Morgan, and then Brittany Freeman, who is also just, right along with Maddie. She's been here for 3 years. So those two are kind of like Batman and Robin. They're going to be hanging out together. They're going to be on the court, having that same energy together. So really excited to see them back. But we have two returners that just due to, a lot of people that were in the same positions didn't get as much playing time. And so really excited about them, Nia, Miss Molly, and then Emily Baldwin too. They're both great girls and have really dedicated a lot of hard work this off season. So really excited for them to be back with us as well.
That Maddie Morgan is somebody that means a lot to you and to the program and to the department. We met her on a couple episodes ago of the podcast, so got to kind of see firsthand her story, how she got here, what her life has been like a little bit since she's been a part of the Avila basketball program. But on and off the court, what does she mean to you and to the team?
Oh, well, yeah. Maddie Morgan is kind of one of those kids where you're just thankful to have her. You can really rely on her on the court, but off the court you can rely on her as well. She's a great student. She's got great character. Comes from a great family of athletes too, and so she just knows what it takes to be successful. She knows the dedication that she has to put in. I think right now she's probably out in the gym, even though she's probably doing homework. She's just sitting in the gym, just wants to be in the atmosphere. And when you get a kid like that, it's really easy to build around her, and it's really easy to build a program around her. A lot of people don't realize that one kid can change everything, and she's kind of that one kid. And so really thankful to have her, but just her leadership, it's been super exciting. Like I said, the other seniors kind of grew up with me where, Maddie's that kid that kind of pushes you to be your best, just as much as I push her to, be the best player she can and the best person and the best leader and the best, pushing her in her faith as well. She kind of does that for me. She kind of pushes me to be the best coach I can, and pushes me X's and O's wise, and pushes me, as a leader. And just as much as I hold a standard for her, she holds that one right back for me, and I really appreciate a kid like that. So,
who are some of the other people that we're going to expect to see out there? Because obviously, like we said, there's a whole new crop of folks coming in to take the place of those seniors in the just in terms of on the roster, if nothing else. So, who are some of the new faces that we're going to expect to see?
Well, we have a lot of new faces. We'll start kind of by oldest to youngest, but we definitely have we have a transfer that's coming in with us, London Foster. She's done a really good job of just, kind of being a leader. At her JUCO, she was a really big leader. She was a point guard there. She was the voice. She was the encourager. She was, the general. And so I think that her coming in and knowing that she has to kind of earn those stripes, but also she just does little things. Like she talks and communicates. She asks questions and drills. She's constantly trying to make sure that everyone else is, understanding just as much as she is understanding. And so she's done a really good job for us, just kind of filling that gap of like maturity level from, our returners to our new kids, because we do have a lot of younger ones. So it's nice to have that like gap in between that can relate to both sides for us. And offensively, she's going to be a kid that we rely on. She definitely has a lot of tools and a lot of skills that she can be implemented into our new system. And then defensively, as long as she commits to it as much as she does offensively, I think she could really be a good threat for us. Defensively, she's a super smart kid, has a high IQ, so she knows where everyone should be, so it'd be really nice to have her in that mix, as well, defensively. But another one we're really, really excited about is Tanai T. She's kind of a like one of those good surprises where you know what her potential is, but in high school, you go, watch a kid and you're like, man, she's got a lot of potential and she could be great. And then she comes to your program and she's like, yeah, I'm gonna be great. And so she comes in and she just kind of runs with it. So sometimes you just need to take kids out of their element and get them into like a more competitive one, and they can just run with it. So she's one of those kids, and she's done a great job offensively for us. She has all this, like I said with London, all the tools and skills. A lot better shooter than what she thinks she is. She's got a great shot on her. And then offensively, she just makes reads really, really well. She just knows how to play basketball, and that's really, really hard to come by now. So really excited about her, and I love her length, I love her size. Defensively, she's super smart, like I said, and she likes to kind of get after it, so she's got that like inner competitiveness in her. So really, really excited for her to be on the floor too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, all right, less than a week before the start of
Yeah.
the season, pretty
Yeah.
much, right? So
Yeah. We're hoping we get a game.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Right.
Considering how everything else has turned out this year, I'm sure. So, what's the energy like? what are the emotions like for you, for the coaches, and everybody in the locker room?
I think the girls are just really excited to kind of play someone else. With usually at this point we've already had 1 or 2 scrimmages in at this point in our season, but just due to COVID, it's just very hit or miss. We don't want to put ourselves in a position to be at risk and then not be able to play our first conference game. But we're really excited. I think the girls are just excited to see that somebody else and have some fresh blood out there to go against. Coaches wise, I'm always. What I experienced last year, I will always just have an apprehension of, are we really going to get to play at this point? And so I'm really just trying to prepare for all angles and make sure my kids are prepared mentally and physically, but then also just being prepared because we don't know what's going to happen. So.
Well, that past experience has informed your present mentality.
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely have a different mentality for sure.
No one can blame you for that. Really, after what you guys had to endure, but you guys made it through, like we said, and
Right.
hopefully that makes you all the better for that in the future, I guess. Coming up in the future on Monday is that first game against
Monday.
Baptist Bible College, right? What can you tell us about that?
They're a newer team, and so we haven't had a lot of time to really in the past we've played teams that we know really, really well, so it'll be a really good experience to go down there and meet someone new. They definitely have a good mixture of kids where we're kind of very guard oriented, so we're gonna have to really rely on our rotational defense to help us on the defensive end. Offensively, I hope that we can continue to play the high speed that we went to against them, and we're just really excited to be on the floor. So.
And then the first home game coming up Friday, November 6th against Bethel, right? That'll be the maybe Fieldhouse basketball opener. It's getting close now, huh?
Getting very close. Yeah, we're almost there. So excited to be back in the Mabee Center and so excited to be here for sure.
We're looking forward to seeing you out there. Torie Murillo, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Eye on the Eagle podcast, sponsored by J.M. Fahey Construction Company. For Torie Murillo and for all of us here at Avila Athletics, I've been Tim Hackett. We'll see you next time. Until then, so long.